We have a few questions here. At Kai, people are asking you, what rendering software do you normally use?
Of course, I use Lumion. I use Lumion for my 5th and 6th year, and then I use Reba for my competition, and then I use Blender for my 6th year for modeling. Yeah, and then I use SketchUp as well sometimes.
The second question for Kai was Sheffield your first choice?
It is my first choice, of course. But I want to find a balance between being a really conceptual, really kind of a theoretical, and being practical. I need to find a balance in between. I think Sheffield kind of offer this kind of balance.
All right. So for Lynna right here, there's another question for you. How long is the course in UPM, and how much is the fee in total? And was it your first choice? Why? So it's a kind of a 4-part question, I guess.
Okay, so how long is the course in UPM? It is actually you need to study full-time for 2 years. So it's 4 semesters, so half year 1 semester. And how much is the fee is actually, if I'm not mistaken, for me is 20,500, but I'm not sure like that fees will like add up every year or not. You need to check with UPM. For the daily expenses, it's just based on you, but I think the rental around Sri Kembangan here is definitely cheaper than in Cheras area. Was it my first choice, and why? Oh, actually UM is my first choice, but at last I decided to choose UPM. So I also write an email to decline UM, so say that I'm so sorry. At last I decided to come UPM. It is because my character and UPM is like more or less the same. So yeah.
How about you, Kai? People are actually asking, like, they want to know what's the cost of how much was the cost for Sheffield, and then like your daily expenses. What figures are we looking at?
Actually, I want to say it's really expensive to study overseas. For the tuition, for the tuition fee itself, I think it's almost 20k GBP, 20k pound per year. So almost like 100k per year. That is just a tuition fee. So altogether, it's about 200k for tuition fee alone. So for my expenses, my accommodation is about 140 per week. So almost 500 pound per month, which is almost 2k RM. But for the eating part, it's pretty cheap. So you can actually afford like £3 a day. No, £5 a day. Yes. If you cook yourself, you cook yourself. But if you don't cook, you eat out, it's gonna cost a lot more. It's about 10 to 20 for once eating in a restaurant. So I usually cook myself. Yeah.
So to proceed on to more questions. So for Kai, people are asking that did you take Reba Part 2 or Lamb Part 2?
I think Sheffield, after you graduated, you're automatically a Reba Part 2. You don't have to take any exam for that. But to be honest, do you think it's Reba or Lamb thing is important?
I don't really think if you are practice in Malaysia, then it's not really important. I mean, Lamb is important, but Reba, if you want in Malaysia, I don't think it's really important. If you want to practice like in Oversea, then yes, it is important.
So this is a question from Facebook, right? So it's a question to you both. They want to know, like, what is your consideration when you decide for Part 2 study? What did you consider?
I think firstly is about the fee, but if you are studying in Malaysia, it's more or less the same. Secondly, I think is the way, like the style of the university. I think I'm not really, but this one is the information you can't get anywhere online. So you need to ask anyone you know.
How about you, Kai? I mean, what did you consider?
I have a senior who worked with me in PR before, like during my internship. I got to ask him like, what's the culture, what's the ethos of Sheffield, or what's the working culture, studying culture, or how's the lecturer be like? And then he said it's And he just say, oh, it's good, it's suitable for you. And then I said, okay. And I did some research of that, looking through, flipping their portfolio, or go to their website and check it out. I think these are the basic things you have to do if you want to, other than just listening to your friends or seniors, because sometimes the thing that he or she say might not be absolutely true of the university, because maybe that person just being negative, you don't know, you wouldn't know until you be there. And also I think it's very important to actually know what you want. Many people ask me that I want to go overseas and study, and I say, then do you know what you want? Do you know what is your character? Do you suit overseas? I don't want people to really compare that overseas is actually better than Malaysia. No, it's not the case. It's given that your character suits that, like what Lynna said, your character suits that module, that system, then you could go. But one thing I want to add is when I first arrived in UK, I thought it's going to be kind of similar to Malaysia, but it's actually very, very different. Even in live project and design studio, the tutor won't tell you what to do. They won't tell you what to do. They just say they will keep asking you what you want to do. If you have no idea, you're gonna die. You're gonna GG so badly. Because they won't even tell you what to do. They don't even okay, now you have to do analysis stuff. No, they won't tell you. You have to do everything by your own. So to the end, almost towards almost 1 month before the submission, the final submission, they only will tell you, okay, maybe this and this is not, it's a bit lacking or insufficient. You have to look into that. You have to add something more practical in it. So you have to sort of balance up yourself. You have to be more, disciplined, or be more conscious of what you want to do.
Okay. That's a very informative answer.
It's not that all studio is like that. I actually like a couple studio, things will still guide you. So even that if you're more passive or more need somebody to guide you, actually you still got a chance in Sheffield, because there's 1 or 2 studios, but the tutor is really, really intense. It's a bit control freak, but you need to live up to the expectation.
Would you like the lecturer to actually give you the information, or would you like to just discover what to do next? Just to dive into what you were saying just now.
I like to discover things from my own point of view, because I feel like for student project, for me, I think I need to have some sort of ownership of my project. I like to do things that I'm interested in. I don't want to let's say satisfy the needs of the lecturer. I don't like to do that. Yeah.
How about Lynna, what do you think? Do you want to be in control, or would you like to just please your lecturer in a way too?
Actually, it's really based on how is your character. But I think mostly if you grow up in Malaysia, you study in local from sekolah rendah until university. I think I can say the people KAI is very less. Most of them is just they follow what the instruction asks them to do. If you are the person like that, you go to overseas, you will be very suffer. But I'm not saying local U anything, but if you study in local U for a master, you won't have so much culture shock, because you adapt to the system, the Malaysia system. So that's what I can say.
Yeah, I think the culture shock is a very, very big thing. The lecturer in UK, they won't bash you. I mean, it's not all. The majority of the lecturer, they won't bash you. Even your thing is shit, they will say, oh, it's good, it's gap for improvement. So you need to get it yourself. So that's the thing that I've struggled for quite a long time.
Alright. Okay, this next question is asking that after 1 or 2 years education in local or international school, what part do you think has been different from when you graduate part 1?
I think for part 1, we will always think from outside in, and for after graduating part 2, I always think from inside out. For example, for part 1, we always the first thing we will ask is what is the brief? We want the thing that we want to get information as fast as possible. We want to know what do you want? What do you want? After I studied for part 2, I feel I think differently. I sort of started to think like a smallest detail. Like let's say the program itself, how the program could be better or benefits for the community, and then it expands to architecture, expands to the building itself, expands to the facade. At the end is the building, not beginning is the building. You get what I mean? So I feel like their mindset is like a good project is based on how thoughtful the concept is. They want the smallest building could have the biggest impact kind of idea. Yeah.
How about Lynna?
It's more or less the same, but I think UPM more open, and they try to push their students outside of the studio. They don't want you just close the door and design inside. But rather than that, they try to give you like other idea of what can you do in architecture. So they make you to go like every event. They want you to know more architect. They want you to go and contact the architect, say that you want to interview them. They want you to go to like find different ideas, different materials, and experiment it yourself. If you are a person who really like into design, I just want to do my design. If anything interrupt my time to do design, I will feel like not comfortable. It's not your.
Potentially, this will be the last question. Do you, in your own opinion, do you think that the place of education actually influence a person's knowledge and the quality when they graduate? Do you think so?
Yes, it definitely it will, but after all, it is just based on your own hard work and your character. But I think the UPM, the syllabus they design is quite good. Although it is like very packed, a lot of assignment, like every subject has 3 assignments ongoing, and you still need to attend event outside. But I think it is, I can recommend it lah.
Right now, I can't see any bright future in architecture. Yeah, because like when we study architecture, we always, because my thesis topic is all about sustainable and stuff. But when you study more, you realize the architecture itself is actually destroying the nature. So there's no sustainable at all when you want to talk about architecture. So it sort of triggered me that if I want to be in practice, am I going against what I believe in? If I was studying in Malaysia, I wouldn't have these thoughts, because nobody will say this kind of thing in Malaysia. They will say architecture is sustainable, architecture is the development. Okay, but development brought disaster. Nobody would say that in Malaysia, but actually that is the truth. But humans have to grow with development. That's the nature of humans. So I don't know. I don't know the solution. I have no idea the solution what is. So I'm still a bit confused like what I want to do. If I have a choice to do what I want to do, I guess I have a different opinion of being an architect, because I don't know. I feel like architect. How would you say architect would be so benevolent that could bring only good for society but not the bad? Because we are trained to be really good sellers. We like to beautify the concept of ours, but behind the thoughts, how much disruption it is. But we are the only one who knows. So I think almost all architects are aware that we are actually destroying, but we are kind of succumb to this capitalism thing-ish. I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, that's why I say if I study in Malaysia, I wouldn't have these kind of thoughts. But if I study overseas, like, people will keep talking this kind of really controversial stuff, and I started to have this kind of like different kind of perspective that implanted in my head. So, yeah.
After you you graduate from overseas, if you come back to Malaysia and work, Do you feel like you are a bird, you fly out of the cage, then now you come back to the cage again?
Because personally, I enjoy the life in UK, but I feel like that's not the life that I want. How to say? I don't feel like a sense of belonging. I don't feel like I'm home. Yeah, I just feel like I want to come home. And when I'm back, I sort of really contemplate about what I'm going to do next. And then I feel like, is it a good choice that I did? Because everything here in Malaysia is a bit more restricting in terms of design. So I keep, I don't know, because for me I'm really new, I'm really fresh, I'm totally fresh grad. I know nothing. So I need to, in order to know what I want to do, I think I have to somehow to work for somebody else. Even though maybe that's not the thing I want to do, but that's the thing I need to do.
Alright, before we end the session, you guys have anything you want to say to our viewers? Like, any motivational speech or any recommendation for people who are still in part 1 and, considering part 2?
It is not to say something motivational, but I think before you study part 2, you really need to know yourself. If you are a really practical people, then you know that you can become something like project architect. If you are a design person, you can become the design architect. So you need to know yourself first. Then after that, you know how to choose the university. So if you guys have any question, you can always PM us so that we can invite like people from different university. Then we can make a video to answer your question. So like if next year you are trying, you want to go to overseas, or you want to study in local U, then you know like how you can choose and like why you choose them. So you have an answer like inside your heart.
Given the technology of today, I think it's really easy to actually get information other than last time. So I think just keep on asking questions, just keep on talking to people. Just expand your circle and reach out everyone that you could reach out to as possible.
So guys, you have their socials, so please don't hesitate to contact any of them. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining in, our viewers, wherever you might be watching this video. Thank you everyone, and we will see you again very soon. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you everyone.